Here's an AMI This Week shortcut with Grant Hardy.
Mandy Harvey is not only a very talented deaf singer-songwriter, but she's also an extremely talented interviewer, something I learned after my interview with her.
I would love to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Oh, look at him. You got a little nervous. The tables have turned. What are the biggest barriers that you face in your career as a person who is also, different?
I think the biggest barriers that I face just in sort of life in general are, as you mentioned, more kind of those attitudinal barriers. Blindness is for many people their greatest fear, right? It's like biblically, it's like the greatest sort of punishment in the Bible. But of course, they're incredible adaptations and stuff like that. It's just about sort of figuring out new ways of doing things. But, people's expectations of you to have a job, to really be a contributing member of society are unfortunately a little low. And my brother, who's also blind and is a lawyer, had quite a lot of trouble just getting his foot in the door to getting past some of those assumptions. I think in terms of media, it's probably just more simple stuff like, eye contact is a big one. Making eye contact with guests, facing the right direction, doing shots where, I have to kind of walk in a straight line and I might sort of want to veer off to one side. That kind of like simple thing maybe takes us a little bit longer to sort of figure out how to work around that.
Yeah. Did you, because you have a slightly different growing up experience than I did, because this has always been your world. Was there a point in your life as a child where you kind of ever thought that you were broken because people kept saying it, or did you always just feel like you?
As a kid, I was a very happy-go-lucky kid. I would say in my preteen and teen years, I went through a period where I struggled with self-acceptance a bit because, it's that socially awkward time, right? And anything where you don't really look as cool or, you don't really seem to be acting like the rest of the cool kids, it can be a way for people to like ostracize you a bit. So sure. I think that period and also the period after I graduated from my university and was kind of entering the work world was a little difficult to get through, a little daunting.
Well, but you got to miss the awkward, gangly look of middle school, like you don't have to see all the pimples and all of like the weird, like shoes and how they walk and fall all the time. Like you that's a superpower in itself.
Yeah, I can feel them though. Or I would ask, do this spot on my face, like, is this going to show up in the school pictures or is this not a big deal? And I'd be told like, just don't worry about it, okay? Don't think about it.
Yeah, what you're not noticing is you're in a sea of people who look exactly the same.
Yeah.
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 Do you think that it's easier to be born with a disability than it is to gain one later in life? Or do you think that in the end, it's the similar journey?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think that it probably depends on the disability. I kind of get the sense that blindness is an easier disability to have for your entire life rather than to acquire later in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know everyone's experiences are very different, so you might have a different perspective on that.
No, I've it's one that people ask me all the time. They're like, well, if you think that if you were born deaf, do you think that you would have had an easier time? I think that in some ways, yes, in some ways, no. Like I think it's it's hard to really say what it would have been like because it's not the reality that I have. But it's always interesting for me to be able to ask that question to other people, because I would have loved to have not felt the way that I did, when my world changed upside down. But I've always been aware that I was, to the world, broken. Even when I was a kid, I was always very aware that I was the odd man out. And I don't know, I think if I had just been fully out from the get-go, maybe I just would have cared less. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I don't know. I guess there's no clear answer really. It's probably very individual
Sure.
experience.
Yeah.
These dreams